On this Monday night, thousands were expecting an emergency alert delivered straight to their phone. Didn't happen. The system is meant to warn about imminent danger, fires, floods, terror attacks. Instead, across Ontario and Quebec, there was confusion. Now, it may have been just a test, but why did it fail?
Also tonight, holding back the floodwaters one good deed at a time. How communities in New Brunswick are banding together to save homes from being washed away.
And driving while Canadian. Why an Ontario woman got thrown in jail for driving through the state of Georgia. This is The National.
The idea is simple. In case of emergency, notify Canadians by sending an alert to our smartphones. That system was tested today in Ontario and Quebec, and thousands of people waited for a warning. Some got it, many, though, never did.
Already?
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it. Neither did I.
This is a test of Ontario's Alert Ready system.
I'm done.
There is no danger.
So how is this supposed to work, and why did it go wrong? The CBC's Natalie Collada went looking for answers.
Nothing. Nada. Zip. It wasn't what Quebecers were told they were to hear on their smartphones this morning. The Alert Ready system should have gone off on compatible smartphones at 9:55 a.m., sounding like this. Instead, silence.
We're used to failure in Canada.
That makes me a bit nervous in the end, actually.
A spokesperson for the CRTC says the failure in Quebec was due to human error. An extra space was accidentally typed into the code sequence. The new phone alerts are in addition to the current broadcast system, and today's test in Quebec did go out on TV and radio.
You got anything on your phone?
But hours later, in Ontario, another test followed by more confusion.
I haven't got one yet.
Well, definitely I'll be waiting for an explanation.
Some received the alert.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah, I got it.
Others got it late. Some received it twice, and some didn't get it at all. It's still not clear why. The company that operates the system, Palmerec, says it's working with its partners to identify the cause. Eamon Hoey says when you're dealing with that much data, delays are a fact of life.
So if you have a computer and you're sending a message out to a number of your friends, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to get your message exactly at the same time you press the send switch.
Keep in mind, the system doesn't work with every smartphone, and it requires an LTE network. But today, even some customers who met both requirements didn't get an alert.
A missile may impact on land or sea within minutes.
Once the technical issues are resolved, the system isn't guaranteed to be error-free. Earlier this year in Hawaii, a false alert was sent out warning of an inbound ballistic missile causing panic. In Saskatchewan, in January, staff sent out flood and wildfire alerts by mistake. Today's test proves that there's still work to do.
I will need to talk to the technical experts to see how serious a technical flaw existed today, and whether this is simply a matter of somebody making a coding error, or whether it's more profound.
The company gets another shot on Wednesday. The alert system is scheduled to be tested across the rest of the country, with the exception of Nunavut.
And Natalie, tellingly, you had an interesting experience standing next to your producer when these alerts were supposed to go out.
Well, that's right. We had the exact same phone on the same network. She received the alert immediately. It took about 5 minutes before I received it. We know that that is an experience that many people have been having, some, of course, not even getting that alert at all.
Yeah, lots of people in our newsroom didn't get it at all, and as of tonight, we still don't know why.
And we don't know how many. That's the other really interesting thing. We don't know why some people got the alert, why some people didn't, even if they had a newer phone on a major network in a big city, let alone people in rural communities with perhaps older phones. That's another element of that as well. And so we are waiting for that information. We've been calling, we've been asking, but we don't have it yet.
This was, of course, a test, and we'll see when it rolls out in most of the rest of the country on Wednesday if it goes any more smoothly. Thanks, Natalie.
You're welcome.
So the emergency system meant to send you these alerts on your cell phones is the same one that's been delivering warnings to television and radio stations since 2014, and here's how it's supposed to get to you. The alert starts with emergency management officials in a federal, provincial, or territorial government. They decide if an alert needs to be issued because of an imminent threat to life. For example, it can be sent by Environment Canada because of a tornado or flood warning, or in some cases by a local police department for an Amber Alert or a terrorist threat. The message gets entered into something called the National Alert Aggregation and Dissemination, or NAD system. Pelmorex, the parent company of the Weather Network, operates it. That system then communicates with radio and television stations and your wireless company to ask them to broadcast the alert in the affected area. This is all meant to happen within seconds of that alert being issued, and the government says it's then up to you to stop and listen and respond to the message. Now, the United States has a similar wireless emergency alert system. It's had it since 2012, and it has been used more than 33,000 times to warn the public about dangerous weather, missing children, and other critical situations. In the aftermath of the Boston Marathon bombing, state officials sent a message warning people to take shelter in the building they were in rather than go outside. In 2016, after bombs went off in New York and New Jersey, the warning system was used to put out a digital wanted poster identifying the suspect. But even though the technology has worked in the U.S., there can be complications. When a baby was abducted in 2013, an alert was sent out at 4 o'clock in the morning. Many were upset at being disturbed, and there were concerns that people would then opt out of the system. And Andrew, those alerts would come in handy for emergencies like the one that has been unfolding in New Brunswick.
Yeah, certainly, though the word spreading today was actually welcome news. Floodwaters are beginning to level off. They're receding in the north, and in St. John, they are expected to crest soon, maybe within 24 hours, and then start going down. But officials are urging people to be patient.
When we talk about the water going down, that is not a trigger for people to go home necessarily. A very deliberate process has to be followed to make sure it's safe for them to go home.
About 1,200 people pushed out by floodwaters have registered with the Red Cross, but officials believe many more, maybe even 3 times as many, are out of their homes. And it could be a long time before they're back in their own beds.
Out of probably 30 camps altogether, there's maybe 5 left. Devastating. Hot water tank, anything you can think of, anybody'd have, and memories and mementos, it's a shame it's just floating.
New Brunswick's financial assistance program doesn't cover recreational properties in disasters, meaning camp or cottage owners are likely on their own, footing the whole bill for cleaning up and rebuilding. And with 100 roads still closed, including part of the Trans-Canada Highway, it doesn't look like that'll happen for a while. But what has become clear to lots of folks in the flood zone, you can never have too many friends and neighbors. Sometimes they're the only thing standing between you and trouble. And as Jayla Bernstein learned, with enough hands, you can hold the water back.
When the mounting St. John River threatened the doorstep of this historic church, the parish priest and his team of volunteers didn't give up.
So the call went out to the community, and we had probably 40 or 45 people here, all kind of coordinated, working together.
As the floodwaters inched closer to St. Paul's, this is all that stood between the rising St. John River and nearly 2 centuries of history.
We had a dump truck load of sand here. We had a team of people with filling sandbags, and basically realizing that if the wind comes up any more or the level goes up any higher, it's going to come right across, right into the foundation.
The building itself escaped unscathed, yet the sandbags couldn't stop the river from finding a way inside. Beneath the church, the water threatens a brand new $5,000 furnace.
It's just touching the bottom of the engine over there. So if it stops there, as good as it can get, I guess, but hopefully it doesn't go any higher. This image is just one of the toughest ones to see because...
As Reverend Kane surveys the damage, what stings the most is the cemetery.
Yeah, you've been here with families at their moment of crisis, and now we're having our own kind of moment of crisis as a community, but these folks have fought floods in the past, and we can't do anything for them.
Kane says he's not the type of person who accepts defeat. With the church shored up, he led his team down the road where the river threatened to destroy a retirement dream.
It was almost to the point of, we can't do this. It's just not gonna, we can't hold it back any longer.
Then the troops arrived. Even the local bishop got his hands dirty.
We had all kinds of, like with the fire department, neighbors. This man right here shoveled.
Well, we worked away at it.
Yes.
Everybody took their part.
Now, a massive sandbag barrier holds the forceful river at bay. The retirement dream still alive.
It's just been phenomenal, the offers of help, and we're so grateful and feel very much a part of the community.
But as Kane says, this is just what it means to be a New Brunswicker. Jayla Bernstein, CBC News, Oak Point, New Brunswick.
Now, persevering in the face of what you can see is one thing. The high water, the submerged basements, the impassable roads. But there's also concern tonight about what lies beneath. Those floodwaters, officials say, are heavily contaminated. In places like Rothsay, New Brunswick, the floodwaters have overwhelmed sewage systems.
So unfortunately, what that means is that the sewage from Rothsay is still going into the river, but it's untreated.
And because a lot of the flooding is in agricultural areas,
you get manure from manure piles around farms. All of that's going into the river system. I'm sure that there are animals that have drowned that are in the river system.
And then there's the threat from toxic chemicals.
You also have to be vigilant for oil spills and diesel tank spills.
That means stacking sandbags, wading into backyards. All of it carries risks. Without precautions, it's dangerous for property and dangerous for human health. Now, from the East Coast to the West Coast, flooding here, too, is wreaking havoc in BC's interior.
Here's the backyard. It's a bit of a river, but it's there's really not too much you can do. You have to let the water go, eh?
People near Merritt, about a 3-hour drive northeast of Vancouver, seem to be in pretty good spirits, all things considered, despite flooding that's damaged homes and washed out roads. Dozens of properties are under an evacuation order, including this mobile home park, where residents say this is the worst flooding they've ever seen. So, Adrian, no shortage of challenges in both provinces, especially as you look at the long road ahead. The cleanup will be messy, expensive, and it'll take a while.
And it will. Andrew, let's now turn to a story that has just had so many people talking today, especially if you've ever done that drive in the U.S. along the I-75. A woman named Emily Neild was stopped by police in Georgia. Now, she was speeding, but that wasn't what got her searched, cuffed, fingerprinted, and locked up. It was her Canadian driver's license. Magda Gabrisalasa has the story of a young Ontario woman who found herself down south and up the proverbial creek.
Okay, I'm in the back of a police car. I'm in cuffs. Help me.
After Emily Neild was arrested in Adel, Georgia in April, she appealed to friends on Snapchat.
How were you feeling in that moment?
I was terrified.
The graduate student had finished her studies in Tennessee. On the way back from a road trip, she was stopped by Cook County, Georgia police for speeding. She gave the officer her Ontario driver's license.
And she kept saying, no, Canadian licenses are not accepted. I was flabbergasted. I just kept saying this can't be right. Look at the truck drivers, look at people, snowbirds, people who vacation. A Canadian license is always valid.
Neild said the officer wouldn't accept digital copies of her passport and Nexus card to confirm she's Canadian. Instead, she was cuffed and charged with driving without a license and speeding.
It was the most horrendous incident of my life, I would say. It was mortifying. I was terrified.
Hours later, she was released after paying a bond of more than $900. Her next goal, to get the charges dismissed.
And I remember as soon as I took my fingerprints, they kept saying, you're now in the system.
Georgia's government site says you can drive in the state with a valid foreign driver's license. It goes on to say that an officer can ask to see a passport or visa to verify a license if available.
Let's take a look at a bit more of this.
After Canadian consulate authorities and a lawyer took up the case, Neild's charges were dropped.
We went ahead and just dismissed it as quickly as it came to my attention. I just felt like it probably became a bigger deal than it should have been, considering that she was here studying and no prior trouble.
This Toronto lawyer isn't surprised by this.
This is probably not the first time that it's happened, and it won't be the last time that it happens.
Court officials expect to have her record expunged in a couple of weeks.
I just cried with joy. I was just so happy because I just kept thinking this would ruin me.
Neild is now back home in Kleinburg, but she still wants answers.
At least with the officer who arrested me, I would love to see a formal reprimand. An apology is what I would love the most.
And Magda joins me now. So, Magda, are we any clearer on why this seems to have happened to her?
Well, the lawyer that we talked to couldn't see a very good reason for it, but the Cook County Sheriff's Office has released a statement in which they dispute much of Neil's account. So they're saying that she said she lived in Tennessee, and because she didn't have a Tennessee driver's license, that is what prompted the arrest. They also say that, the police force has the authority to set a bond, even with a speeding charge, when it comes to a driver who does not live in the country.
Okay, so they're not backing down at all?
Not at all.
Okay, Magda, thanks very much.
Thank you.
To Ottawa now, and concerns about what the government calls irregular migrants, people avoiding official border crossings, hoping to get refugee status. The numbers are on the rise again, and amid criticism from the opposition, federal officials said today that the asylum seekers are not getting a free ticket to Canada. In the first 3 months of this year, the RCMP intercepted more than 5,000 refugee claimants. Today, the government said there were about 2,500 more in April alone. Of those 7,500 asylum seekers, most came in from the U.S. at the Roxham Road crossing in Quebec. And with the warming weather, an average of 70 to 80 people are now arriving each day. So how to deal with all those people? As Catherine Cullen tells us, the Trudeau government says it has a plan.
Those who cross in violation of the rules are immediately arrested.
Their words were intended to reassure, but the fact 3 cabinet ministers came to town with props, no less.
As this chart clearly demonstrates, all asylum claimants undergo the same process.
Well, that suggests concern. The number of asylum seekers is up even compared to last year.
They must prove that they need Canada's protection to keep them safe.
Something it seems the vast majority of claimants can't prove.
90%.
Around 90% of some groups are being rejected, the government says. But a new figure shows fewer than 1% have been removed from Canada. According to the government's own numbers, more than 26,000 people came to Canada by illegally crossing the border over the span of a year. Just 243 of them have been removed. Why so few?
There are very important issues of due process that have to be met.
Right now, it takes an average of about 2.5 years for officials to decide on an asylum seeker's case.
It's a whole sequence of events that need to be accelerated. That's why we put more money into the system.
The Conservatives have suggested changing the rules to bar people from simply walking across the border and claiming asylum, something the Liberals call impractical.
We're not even at the point right now where we can actually start talking about how to support the tens of thousands of people who have come into the country by this mechanism. That is a completely different conversation. But for me, how are we ever going to talk about that if the problem only gets worse?
The government is scheduled to remove 200 more failed asylum claimants in the next couple of weeks. At the same time, it's planning to set up temporary shelters at Quebec's Roxham Road, anticipating even more illegal crossings. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
Here's what else we're working on the National tonight. The campaign hasn't even officially started yet, but the Ontario election unofficially kicked off tonight with a televised debate. We have a play-by-play for you.
And as campaign battlegrounds move increasingly online, our Hannah Thibodeau looks into some of the major questions elections officials need to answer.
I'm a little bit more concerned from the outsiders. Who can, again, and if you look at the U.S. election and even the British referendum, you see that outsiders try to manipulate the electorate, and that's a concern.
My name is Angela Anderson, and I live a low to zero waste lifestyle. I noticed one day going down the back alleyway and the garbage just were like over the top, right? All over the ground and stuff. And I was just like, something has to change. Come on in, guys. So recycling is helpful, but there's a lot more that you can do. I bought some produce bags and I got some reusable shopping bags and I just kind of started. When we do shop, we are very aware of the packaging that our stuff comes in. I will look for things in glass because I know that I'm going to be reusing the glass. Okay, so this is our reuse bin. So we put things like, this is a broken bottle, but I'm sure the kids will find something to use for a mustard container. I bring my egg cartons back to the farmers so they can reuse them. And along with clamshells, as much as they are recyclable, they still, the farmers can use them to put their berries back into so they don't have to produce more waste. I don't sit around all day making lotions and toothpaste, and I don't make my own bread yet. So this is soap that I made, and then I buy deodorant in a glass container. My toothpaste is also in glass. My toothbrush is compostable, and as well as my dental floss is compostable. Buying meat is challenging because it's mostly in styrofoam and plastic. There are delis that you can go to that have butcher paper, but there's not much you can do with it. So our garbage for the day. I don't have a garbage bag. I reuse my plastic when I have it. And it's plastic. That's mostly what our garbage is, plastic. Well, I know that we don't take our bins out every week. I think I just took them out last week, and it was about 6 weeks, and it wasn't full. Isn't as simple as it can sound, I guess.
Hey, I'm Michelle Parisi. I want to tell you something about my podcast, Alone, a Love Story. When I first started writing it 5 years ago, it wasn't a diary. It was a cautionary tale, a call to arms. We've all been disappointed, made mistakes, tried to forgive, and we've all believed in love, clung to hope. More of all that in Season 2 of Alone, a Love Story. Stick with me.
CBC TV app. Download now.
Tonight on The National, it's a party on the streets of Winnipeg. You're looking live at the scene just outside Bell MTS Place, where thousands of Jets fans are gathered, waiting for the puck to drop.
You know, two good hockey teams playing against each other. That's the biggest thing. You know, they're a great team. They play hard. You know, we're a good team and we play hard. You know, we got to be ready for a grind tonight.
That was Jets forward Mark Scheifele ahead of Game 6 against the Nashville Predators. It's set to start in just under 10 minutes from now, and this could be a big one. With the Jets up 3-2 in the series, a win would send them straight to the third round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And let's take you now live to Toronto, where another playoff game has fans in the streets. The Toronto Raptors are taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 4 of their series. And boy, the stakes couldn't be higher.
OG gets denied. Lowry lets it fly.
Right now, the Raptors are tied in the second quarter. Because the Cavs won the first 3 games in the best-of-7 series, though, the Raptors need a win tonight. A loss would mean being knocked out of the playoffs.
And that would not be good. Exactly 1 month to go until Ontario voters head to the polls to elect the province's next government. The campaign is not even officially underway, but you wouldn't know it tonight because the leaders of the 3 main political parties squared off in their first debate. Kathleen Wynne and the governing Liberals are trying to extend their nearly 15-year hold on power, while the other 2 leaders tried to show they have what it takes to be premier. Ron Charles explains.
Even though the election hasn't been officially called, the race is on. Ontario's main political party stuck to the tradition of noisy supporters outside, while inside, all 3 leaders took to the stage in what is the most anticipated election.
The Conservatives before us wiped out any rules around equity, took the word equity out.
For the first while, it looked like a debate between just the 2 political veterans, Liberal leader Kathleen Wynne and NDP leader Andrea Horwath.
Actually didn't. You know what? When I was Minister of Education in 2006, we reintroduced equity.
Ontario PC leader Doug Ford, new to provincial politics, but many say the front-runner watched on. It took a couple of rounds and a timer that sounded like a ringside bell before Ford got off the ropes.
It has to be stopped.
attacking Wynne over how much executives make at a power company with government ties.
Did you know about the backroom deal about doubling his compensation?
Doug, are you talking to me about backroom deals? You're talking about you and the developers in the backroom about the green belt?
Well,
and well, these two
our
hydro bills are going through the roof while these two argue that.
And then there was this moment between Ford and Wynne.
I'm going to ask my friend Kathleen the question. Kathleen, you got a nice smile on your face there. Kathleen.
So do you.
I truly believe you got into politics for the right reason. My question is very simply, when did you lose your way?
Well, we've created 800,000 net new jobs in this province. The economy is outstripping the growth of other provinces.
This first of 3 debates offered a taste of what to expect once the official campaign gets underway on Wednesday. Ron Charles, CBC News, Toronto.
But interestingly, the importance of such televised debates might actually be waning as the campaign battleground moves to social media. Hannah Thibodeau has more on some of the online tactics you might just recognize from south of the border.
Fake news.
How much influence could this man have over the Ontario election? The provincial Liberals are using him to try to scare voters away from progressive Conservative leader Doug Ford.
Doug Ford sounds like Donald Trump, and that's because he is like Donald Trump.
It's a message you will see and hear more of in advertisements in the campaign. But what you won't necessarily see is this. This ad, made by the PCs, is only on Facebook and only seen by Ontarians who like the president.
They want to reach people who are interested in Donald Trump.
Derek Willis works with ProPublica, a U.S.-based independent investigative journalism organization that built a crowdsourcing tool to track paid political ads on Facebook. He says Ford's team is using the president to attract voters.
If this is the kind of person that appeals to you politically, you may also be interested in the person that we're putting right in front of you.
The Ontario Liberals are using a similar approach, but targeting those who like Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. It's called micro-targeting, going after different groups of voters based on things like age, gender, or political interests. In a nutshell, not everyone will experience the same election campaign.
It's not politics that has anything approaching the kind of regulated structure that we sort of took for granted. And there are a lot of negative aspects to that.
We saw some of those negative aspects with the improper use of millions of Facebook users' personal data. It was used to target and sway voters during the U.S. election and Brexit referendum. Canada's former chief electoral officer says this type of political advertising is relatively uncontrolled.
Cannot simply build a highway and say it's a free-for-all for everyone. I think they need to become more accountable for what's going on their platform.
Social media platforms are trying to help users understand who is targeting them with political messages and why. Under new rules, political campaigns will have to display ads they're buying from Facebook on their pages. Canada is currently the first test country, and the Ontario election is the first big campaign where we'll see how it actually works. Hannah Thibodeau, CBC News, Ottawa.
And don't forget, CBC News is tracking the polls leading up to June's election. Right now, our models show that Doug Ford's Progressive Conservatives remain out in front with 42% support. The Liberals and the NDP trail well behind with about 26% each. You can look at all of our poll tracker data on our website. Just go to cbc.ca/poll tracker.
If you're watching us on CBC Television right now, playoff hockey is next.
But we continue on CBC News Network with this story.
Just watching everybody come out of there with all their things, and it's so sad. It's just so sad.
Volcanic chaos continues on Hawaii's Big Island. Officials are warning people to be ready to flee as unpredictable fissures spew toxic gas and molten lava. 35 structures, including 26 homes, have been destroyed. We've got more ahead on The National.
So how much do refugees and immigrants get in social assistance? Let's break that down based on information from the federal and provincial governments. Starting with immigrants, they get the same amount of social assistance as other Canadians, with one exception. When a citizen or permanent resident sponsors a relative as part of the family class, that sponsor is responsible for any income assistance their relative gets. Taxpayers are not on the hook for any of that. Okay, but what about refugees? And what about those people who are walking across the Canada-US border seeking asylum here? Well, that depends on whether they're government-sponsored, privately sponsored, or a mix of both. Let's start with privately sponsored refugees. They don't receive any government assistance for the first year, although they do have access to federally funded services like language training and healthcare through an interim federal program. All their other costs are covered by whomever is sponsoring them, whether that be a religious organization or community group. After their first year, if refugees haven't found work, they're eligible for social assistance or disability benefits at the same rates as Canadian citizens. That rate varies from province to province. Government-sponsored refugees are the second category. They're supported under a federal resettlement program for 1 year or until they become self-sufficient, whichever comes first. As of July 2016, the annual maximum amount is $50,000 per family, depending on how many people there are. That includes a one-time payment to set up their household. After 1 year, they become eligible for provincial social assistance at the same rates as other Canadians are. The third category of refugees is a blended visa office referred program. They get federal assistance for the first 6 months, private sponsors pay the other 6 months. But did you know refugees who are resettled from abroad actually owe the government money? That's right, the Canadian government asks them to repay the cost of traveling to Canada. The maximum loan is $10,000, even for large families of 8 people or more. It's interest-free for 1 to 3 years, and then refugees have up to 6 years to repay it, depending on how much money is involved. And even though that's a lot more than some of these families earn in a year, 91% of them manage to pay back those loans. That brings me to asylum seekers. They've been in the news a lot lately for crossing the border on foot. Asylum seekers don't get any of the federal resettlement assistance that other refugees get. In fact, they usually live in emergency shelters or with friends and family when they first get here. But they can apply for provincial social assistance once they're deemed eligible to make a refugee claim or while they're waiting for their hearing. They're covered if their claim is accepted or if they're in the appeals process. They get the same amount as Canadian citizens, and there's no cap on it. So no matter how many people apply, everyone gets the same amount. Meanwhile, their children can go to public school as soon as they have a permanent address. And they can access legal aid in 6 provinces. Ottawa covers most of that cost. Now, it's important to note that refugee claimants are eligible to apply for a work permit, and most of them are pretty eager to support themselves. I know, the big question is, does an increase in refugees and immigrants mean less social assistance for other Canadians? We spoke to a number of experts, and their consensus is no. But a sudden influx of refugees could have an impact on housing, for example. Ottawa gives the provinces a lump sum for affordable housing, so more immigrants and refugees could mean more people vying for limited spots. On the other hand, federal transfer payments for affordable housing are doled out on a per capita basis, so that means an influx in refugees and immigrants could mean more money coming to the provinces. You might be wondering, how quickly do refugees become self-supporting? Remember the boat people, 60,000 Vietnamese who came to Canada between 1979 and 81? Well, within 10 years, 86% of them were working and speaking English with some proficiency.
For many Canadians, being in your 20s means getting out in the world and starting to build your adult life. But people get dealt different hands. For some young people, maybe more than you might guess, circumstances demand sacrifice. Stefan Alexis is a college graduate, but his future is on hold. He spends hours a day providing special care to his younger brother, Tor, who has cerebral palsy and is now too old to get that care through public programs. This family needs the help, and as you'll see in our intimate portrait, Stefan was raised to honor that bond And he's not alone. Statistics Canada has estimated 1 in 4 Canadians under the age of 30 cares for a family member. That is 1.9 million people. They may spend a few hours a week looking after an ailing grandparent, or, like Stefan, they may care for a relative practically full-time. An estimated 7% leave school early because of the burden. For a sense of what they go through, here's our national documentary, Caring for Tor.
You okay? I remember, like, when we were at the hospital, like, very clearly. We waited there for a while, and then my dad came out and he was like, "Your brother's here." I got to see him from the class. I remember seeing other kids that were Tor's age, and they were like crawling and walking. And I was like, so when is Tor gonna start walking and talking? They're like, probably you won't be able to walk and talk. I must have been at around like 4 or 5 years old when I realized that things were a little different. And down we go. Name is Stefan, Alexis, 24 years old. This is a team effort. There we go. It tickles. I'm a young caregiver. I take care of my younger sibling, Torrance. He's 21 years old and he has cerebral palsy. He's not verbal. He doesn't really have any balance. He's completely dependent. You wanna go to bed? You wanna go to bed? It's not an easy job. He needs you for everything. So you have to be taking care of him 24/7. I think Tor sees the world simpler than we see it. So I feel like he appreciates the things that we take for granted. We think he sees the world in lights and shapes. Okay, buddy. A year ago when Tor turned 21, he graduated from high school and all the services stopped. So when that happened, we didn't have any support during the day. You're doing well. And all the work kind of fell on my dad.
Yeah, you should be hungry though.
So that's when I was like, hey, I have to help. Mom's working full time, has her hands full, taking care of the house too, so I'm here. Even though I wasn't like feeling great, you make sacrifices for your family. When people think about a caregiver, they generally think about a female. It's a very easy assumption to make and a very easy picture to paint. Watching my dad taking care of Tor has impacted me in a pretty significant way because he's shown me the other side of masculinity. He teaches me how you're supposed to be attentive to certain things and how you're supposed to like take care of your family.
So I'm picking up, okay, passata sauce, pepperoni, spinach, eggs. I'll be back.
When you're taking care of a family member, the house revolves around that family member. So you kind of have to coordinate who's gonna stay and who's gonna go out because it's like an orchestra. So you have to kind of get everything in a certain balance.
Time to go to bed, Torrance. Come on, sweetheart. Turn around.
There's so many little intricate details that go not into like just everyday life, but into a life where you're taking care of someone else.
Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so.
We love Tor to death. We love him unconditionally. We would do anything for him, of course, but any kind of long, continuous strain has an impact on you mentally. My friends are aiming towards like their career and they're chasing like their dreams and all that. Having to put my goals and aspirations on the back burner can be really frustrating. I can't do this forever. It's a tough place to be in, because like what do I pick? Like how do I choose? What will happen like if I'm not there to kind of relieve the pressure? Everyone's getting older and the needs are going up, and it's breaking the balance. He just had a really bad seizure.
You did? Okay. I'm gonna come and give you a hand.
If I can't be here like physically to help, I need to find another way to help out. It's easy ignoring these people because there's no voice. Because the people that have the voice are too tired to like raise their voices. They're already exhausted from the day-to-day, and they don't have the energy to go out and protest. Yes. And try and like fight the government and like lobby and do all this crazy stuff, because like the day-to-day never really stops. You don't have the energy because you're just trying to make it day-to-day.
Tonight's national documentary is part of a special project that aims to profile young Canadians in the midst of profound life changes. Stéphane's story is just the first. The people in all of our stories have all agreed to give us intimate access to their very personal circumstances, a window into their worlds. We will let you know when the next profile is coming.
And still to come on The National. An Ontario man given 15 years to live spent 11 of them fighting to prove his job made him sick. How his victory could change the way others are compensated.
You don't get a trade and think of down the road that whenever you're 20 years into your trade, you're going to find out you have a terminal disease. It's too late for me, but maybe it's not too late for somebody else.
Well, Kelly Crow has been investigating the surge in these private stem cell clinics. And as I say, a lot of people here driven by desperation.
Right, and they're paying thousands of dollars for this unproven treatment where tissue is sucked out of their fat or bone marrow and it's injected back into their aching joints. The theory is that there are stem cells in the bone marrow and the fat tissue, and those stem cells have some sort of healing capacity. But we asked a prominent Canadian stem cell scientist for his opinion, Dr. Duncan Stewart, and here's what he had to say.
If a patient called me up to say that they are thinking of going to get this kind of therapy from a practitioner offering it like this for a fee, I would say that I don't think that's wise. I don't think they know they're going to get any benefit. I think they're taking a potential risk, and all of these therapies should be offered within the context of a properly designed clinical trial.
Still, lots of Canadians are going for it. We took a hidden camera into a few private clinics to see how stem cell procedures are being offered to patients.
Okay, if you got to see, The patient we followed has a painful knee. She went online to a Toronto stem cell clinic and filled out a form. Within days, she had an appointment with an orthopedic surgeon who told her she had arthritis.
So you have arthritis in your knee. Which means what? Which means that you have lost some cartilage. So
He said stem cell injections could help. He says it works most of the time.
So how effective is it? About 80% of people. Many more people than not are helped by it.
Come on in. At a different clinic, this family doctor also does stem cell injections, and she tells our patient that the injections are 100% effective.
So I haven't had anybody not get significantly better.
But stem cell experts say those reports of benefit are not supported by good scientific evidence.
We really don't know whether these work, and we really don't know how safe this approach is.
There's so much to talk about here, but let's focus for a moment on stem cells. We hear about them. They seem so magical. What are they?
Well, stem cells are special cells that can develop into different types of cells. No other cell can do that. And ever since they were first discovered in the early 1960s, scientists have been studying whether they could be used to regenerate bone or tissue, or even hearts or other organs.
So big debate here about the benefits of this. What about the risks?
Right. Well, there's a risk of infection from the injections. And in the U.S., 3 people have gone blind after having stem cell injections into their eyes to treat macular degeneration. If stem cells do what scientists think they might, and that's trigger the growth of new tissue, there's also a theoretical risk that it could cause the growth of unwanted tissue and even cancerous tumors. Dr. Duncan Stewart is conducting clinical trials, and when he signs up volunteers, he has to tell them about that risk.
If you read the kind of consent forms that we put together for our trials, you'll see all this language. It's kind of scary because there's a theoretical risk that there could be tumors that form. There's a theoretical risk you could get blood vessels forming where you don't want them to form, for instance, the back of the eye or other places. So all these things could happen.
So it's interesting, right? We heard those 2 people earlier talk about, what, 80% success, 100% success. But there's a lot of research still to be done here.
Right. I mean, scientists just don't know right now whether injecting stem cells into the body is an effective way to treat injury.
So I'd have to come into the garage, take off my clothes, then go straight for a shower. Oh, we remember that.
It has been nearly a decade since he stepped into a printing plant, but Mitch Leprade says he can't wash that heavy smell of ink from his memory. The 57-year-old is now fighting terminal cancer, an illness that he and his doctors say is linked to his job. But as Valerie Willette explains, it took 11 years and a landmark ruling to prove it to Ontario's worker compensation system.
1, 2, 3, pick.
For over a decade, Mitch Leprade and his wife have split their time between hospitals and legal clinics.
I remember the very first time that you had chemo.
For 20 years, he worked in the printing industry, a good job with a steady paycheck. He was always health conscious and never saw his diagnosis coming: chronic lymphocytic leukemia, a terminal blood cancer. 15 years to live and searching for answers, he was led to benzene, a cancer-causing chemical, and the solvents he used at work. But convincing Ontario's Workers' Compensation Board that he's this sick because of his job hasn't been easy.
Here I have a sample of a lot of the
denial letters.
His workers' compensation case dragged on for years.
This one's from 2010.
He submitted medical studies and received denials in return, with WSIB arguing he had inadequate evidence.
I'm angry. It's very frustrating.
Frustrated because while he got rejection letters, the board implemented a special policy for firefighters. If they get the same disease as him, they don't have to prove their case. The board recognizes that fire smoke can cause cancer. And while the policy doesn't directly connect benzene to leukemia, it's widely understood that it's one of the major toxins that puts firefighters at risk. And according to Leprad's doctor, it's the only one that matters.
The only one of those chemicals that would cause the increased risk was benzene.
Most provinces have similar policies. And in a statement to CBC, the WSIB says that firefighters are compensated based on diagnosis and length of service, not exposure. The Labour Minister's office says it is reviewing compensation for all work-related cancers.
This is a big issue because
Jim Brophy's research led to the implementation of the firefighters' policy. He says it's time for it to be expanded to other industries.
all benzene-exposed workers, no matter what their occupation is, bear this risk.
The chances are better now.
Leprad's lawyer says she hopes this case will set a precedent.
If there's a worker out there who has CLL, they should be coming forward and going to the board right away and saying, I think there's a connection.
At 57 with a terminal disease, Leprad knows he's running out of time. He hopes his fight hasn't been in vain, and his struggle will help ensure other workers are treated fairly.
Are you tired?
Not too bad.
Valérie Ouellet, CBC News, Toronto.
Benzene is a common chemical. It's released during forest fires and volcanic eruptions. But when people are exposed to it at its highest levels, it is often because of where they work.
Auto repair, refinery workers, steel workers, coke oven workers, print shops, anybody working in solvents and so forth. I mean, it's an enormous number.
And that number, an estimated 375,000 people across the country. If you think you're one of them, the advice is to talk to your employer about limiting your exposure or using protective gear like gloves and masks.
Well, next on The National, molten rock, toxic gas, and a warning to be ready to flee. The sudden and unpredictable volcano eruption continues in Hawaii tonight.
Get your belongings and get back out.
I remember telling myself, this may be the last time I come back. And if it is, that's okay.
In this era of rapid transportation, the television cameraman is by no means earthbound. Aerial film can often give a completely new perspective to a particular story.
We'll be flying up over the river towards Sorel, in that area. We should be gone about a half an hour. I've got to film back in a hurry, so I'll have to play it pretty fast.
Okay, well, that's fine. And South Clare with Montreal ATC and good prosec to destination.
Good. Well, we'll get underway.
The rapid growth of Montreal is one example. With the skyline changing almost daily as new buildings appear, it is necessary to maintain a completely up-to-date stock of aerial footage of familiar scenes.
The site of a most unusual city was picked way back when the New World first began. You can't imagine just how many wonderful things were put together, but I've been there and I can. They chose the shores of the mighty St. Lawrence so they'd have a river running by. In the background they added a mountain to paint a picture again.
And where does all the film go? A lot of it is fed each day through a closed-circuit hookup to the network headquarters in Toronto.
Yeah, we're all ready to go. We'll send you a little bit of tone. That's at -8. Is that all right with you?
Okay.
In this way, viewers across the country get an opportunity to see events that are happening in Montreal. To fly this film from city to city would waste many hours. But through this closed-circuit hookup, items can be exchanged in minutes with points across the country, and in many cases with the CBS and NBC networks in the United States.
Expo has welcomed visitors from many far-flung places in the world, most recently from the state of Hawaii.
Add to this a syndication film service.
Tonight on The National, more dramatic scenes from Hawaii's Big Island. 4 days after the Kilauea volcano started erupting, lava, as you can see, still flowing, scorching everything in its path. So far, 35 structures, many of them homes, have been destroyed, but some of the 1,700 people forced to evacuate have been allowed to go home briefly to collect their things. Still no word, though, when they might be able to return for good.
5 years away from retirement with the house paid for, and retirement is nowhere near in the future now, if this is what's playing out.
Just watching everybody come out of there with all their things, and it's so sad. It's just so sad.
And an update from officials just this past hour. They say they're tracking new volcanic activity on the island. 2 new fissures appear to have opened up, and the whole situation very unpredictable. They're still picking up toxic gases in the area, and tourists certainly being warned to stay away. Now, another story we are following tonight. Word of a big announcement coming from the White House on the Iran nuclear deal. President Donald Trump tweeted today that he'll reveal tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern whether the U.S. will pull out. The agreement was struck in 2015, and it involved world powers waiving sanctions on Iran in exchange for placing limits on its nuclear program. Trump has until May 12th to decide whether the U.S. will continue to waive sanctions, but he's expected to announce that he will not do that, effectively withdrawing the U.S. from the deal.
As New Brunswick continues to deal with record high water levels, some flood victims are now having to deal with something else: thieves. Marcus Harvey knows this all too well, but he didn't let them get away. His story is our moment of the day.
I was sleeping in my bed, having a lovely, restful sleep, and I heard a thud. And then immediately a gentleman's voice said, "You need to evacuate." And I said, "Why the blank do I have to evacuate?" And then it was just all hell broke loose, and a rush of people running out my back door. Well, I got downstairs, and everybody was scurrying like rats out the back door. And I jumped up on my pool deck, which is right behind the house, over to the downriver end, and looked over the edge and was able to see 3 gentlemen wearing masks and in a red canoe trying to beat a hasty retreat with a couple of paddles. Within 2 hours probably of them breaking into my house and a short but futile boat chase, they were able to nab the perpetrators.
Okay, so boat chase is a stunning phrase there, as if people don't have enough to deal with. Marcus explained that, yes, they woke him up from a nap, but he had the instincts to grab his camera, take a picture, and then call the police.
And, it's so unfortunate that, this is a recurring story, right? Whenever we talk about natural disasters, I remember last summer for the BC wildfires, the same sort of thing happened. And even firefighters were complaining that their equipment was being stolen or damaged, their hoses and pumps disappearing, the ultimate insult to injury.
So the serious thing here is that somebody tried to steal stuff from that guy's house. That's wrong. Obviously, you feel violated when people are in your house trying to do that. The more whimsical, fun side is, if the RCMP is watching in New Brunswick and they have the audio sort of transmissions of doing that chase on their boat of this stolen canoe. I don't even know what the 10 code is for a stolen canoe, but, it's Canada, so there probably is one. Please send us that tape. I want to know more about that pursuit.
Of course you would. That is the National for May the 7th. Good night.
Good night.